What's up, Attack MMA? I'm your host, Zach Weicker, and today we got a very special guest. He's a professional fighter with a 7-0 record and will competing on the Dana White Contender Series Week 7 on September 24th. Please welcome Cam Teague. Cam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Of course, Cam, it's more than a pleasure. And before we get into this fight, I kind of like to give the fans a little background on yourself. So, how and when did you get into MMA?
I started about 6 years ago. After work one day, I was like 19, trying to find a hobby. Walked in the gym, they beat me up. I loved it, so I stuck with it. And 6 years later, here I am, about to fight to get in the biggest organization there is. So
Yeah, and when you were looking for a hobby, did you ever think this hobby could become a job for you?
no, I didn't expect it to, but I got into it, and then a bunch of career opportunities opened up, and now it's my full-time job, and I'm trying to break it to the UFC and make a better living for myself. So I'm excited to compete for the contract.
Of course. And was there a certain moment in training where you realized that you can do this at the professional level and become an elite talent?
I'd say during my amateur fights, like I fought like the best amateurs around, and they've been training for years. Some wrestled in high school, some were doing it since they were kids, and I was knocking these guys out. I was subbing them. So, I think that's when I knew, especially even in my losses, like I was competing with the best guys when I was an amateur. In my losses, I went toe to toe with them and felt like they could have gone my way. So I just knew I was ready. I was in the right place.
Definitely, man. And you have the nickname Chaos. So how did that nickname originate?
It's more of when I first started training. It was just I would just go balls to the wall pretty much, and that's how I fight still today. It's a little more tame, more control, but my coaches and my coach Mike gave me the nickname Chaos because you just don't know what's going to happen when I'm out there. I could either fight super smart, super technical, or I'm just going to throw down. So
Yeah, for sure, man. And of course, you got this big opportunity coming up on the Dana White Contender Series. So how does this opportunity showcase itself to you?
I think winning my last fight against the former UFC vet Austin really helped, and I was just getting back into training, like easing back into it. And I guess, Luke Riley had visa issues, so they called the right guy, I'm a guy that'll step in and fight anybody. So, I saw the opponent, I saw the name, I said yes before I even saw his fight. I watched how he fight. I know why they called me now, because we both like the bang, so it's gonna be a pretty hectic fight, I think.
Yeah. And when you got that phone call, what was your reaction like?
I was excited, I was feeling like, oh man, that's kind of close. I just had this, I wouldn't say my last fight was easy or anything. It was a war, and I was like, I wish I had more time, but I'm all right. I'm ready to go right now. Like I'm ready to fight tomorrow. I knew as soon as I took it, I'd be ready, like in a week, and I'm ready right now if I had to fight tomorrow. So
Yeah. And of course, you're excited as this is such a huge opportunity. Would you say this is the most excited you have ever been for a fight?
yeah, I was most excited for my last fight I just had because I was fighting a former UFC guy. I finally was gonna get in there and see if I had what I think it takes, and then I got this one. So this one trumps it a lot.
Yeah, and it's been fast since your last fight, but you've kind of made your rise to the top pretty fast. It's only been 7 fights in your professional career. So, did you expect to get this type of opportunity so fast in your career?
I just been staying busy and taking fights whenever I can, fighting whoever, whenever, and a lot of my opponents I've had, were have backed out and been replacements. But yeah, I knew if I just stay busy and keep winning fights, keep finishing fights the way I have, that it'll eventually come. My management said, and the time has come now. And I've only been a pro for a year and a half, but I'm excited to compete on the biggest stage there is.
Yeah, and you mentioned your previous fight with Austin Lingo, who is a UFC veteran. So, do you believe that your experience you gained in that fight will help elevate you in this upcoming bout?
Yeah, I think it'll be a kind of a similar fight because the good thing is I'm taking this on short notice, but I mean, I still got like 4 weeks, so it's not like super crazy or anything. Like I fight guys all the time with like a week or two notice. So but he's kind of similar to the guy I just fought. He throws hard and he's really heavy handed, and he comes forward a bit that he kind of lets off in the later rounds a little bit. So I'm going to just kind of go in with kind of the same game plan I just had and try to take him out of his element and get him in the later rounds. I think the first round's going to be pretty hectic, but this normally is like that for me when the guy's really game because I'm super game. So we normally, after the first round, I ease into the fight and I find an opening. Like last fight, I found it with my knees. Sometimes I'll find it with my elbows, or sometimes I'll take a guy down. But I think I think it's a good matchup for me.
Yeah, and you've kind of seemed like you've done your research on him. So are you someone that likes to do research on your opponents, or is it your coaches do the research for you and they kind of give you the scouting report?
It's mostly my coaches, but when I first get the opponent, I watch a fight or two. Like I watched his I really only watched his Contender Series fight because it's kind of doesn't have a whole lot of footage out there, and the footage he does, I mean, he's knocking out guys that they're regional guys for a reason. So, uh, yeah, his fight with Gene Silva, it was pretty good, pretty tough. There's a lot of things I picked up from it. I'm gonna try to exploit it.
Yeah. And you mentioned after doing your research, you expect this to be a very chaotic, hectic first round. So would you say you thrive in those hectic situations?
I love it. Like it's I do. This is gonna sound crazy, but the worst thing is ever is when you just roll out there and you just finish somebody like 30 seconds. You put in all this hard work and stuff. I just feel alive out there when I'm in a firefight like I was last fight. Is what I trained to do. I live for it, and I'm excited to have those fights in the UFC because you get compensated pretty well for it with the bonuses, and I'm definitely going to be coming for them bonuses. So I just got to get this contract and get my foot in the door.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned there that you don't necessarily like getting that early finish as you like being in that dogfight. You like being in those 3 rounds. But with the Contender Series, a lot of times Dana White just looks for those finishes. So
All
do you
right.
say there's a little extra pressure on you for this fight to get that finish?
I'm going for the finish. Like I don't want to go 3 rounds, but I do want to feel like I'm in a real fight. So uh yeah, that's just my fight style. I come to finish or get finished trying. So I can promise on the Contender Series, I'm gonna come to finish him, or I'm gonna get finished trying to get him out of there. So
Yeah, and you've mentioned what you know about Kevin Vallejos, but on yourself, where do you think you stand out the most in this fight?
let's see. I think his grappling might not be there, so might be something I could look at there. But ultimately, that's not really what I do either. Like I like to stand up and strike. So Um, they talk about his boxing being really good, and I got my boxing coach I've been working with, so um, I'm going to box with him. So we'll see. I think I'll surprise some people there, honestly.
Yeah, and stylistically, where do you think this fight ends?
With a finish, I'd say probably I'd say on the feet. I feel like I can drag him out and wear him down like I did Austin, and then eventually, I didn't knock Austin out. I mean, I got a TKO on him, but you cut him open, you make him bleed everywhere. The ref will step in and stop it. So he's a tough guy. He's got a chin like me, so it's gonna be hard to put him out, but I'm damn sure gonna try.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your last fight with Austin Lingo that you got him lighted up pretty badly. And when you're in the octagon, when you're fighting and you see your opponent bleeding like that, does it kind of like pump a little fire in you and it gives you a little extra like adrenaline rush when you see that happening?
I don't know. It's hard to like explain. Like, I don't remember anything when I'm out there. Like after the fight, like I try to so many times go back to like, man, what was I feeling in this moment? And it's kind of just like second nature. It's just instinct. So when I saw his mouthpiece like came out, he put it back in. He was really breathing heavy, and it just something just clicked in me. I just jumped on him. So it seemed to find those moments a lot when I'm fighting. It's just something just switches on. I can just feel it when the guy's done or he's on his way out. So when it comes on, I'm going to help him out.
Of course. And in this upcoming fight, this will probably be the biggest fight of your life with the most pressure on you. And when you're in these high pressure situations and high pressure fights, how do you handle and calm down all that pressure?
I think I handle it a lot better than most fighters. Like I'm not, I don't really have like a whole lot of adrenaline going out there. I'm not really nervous. I think it's credit to I've played sports my whole life growing up. I've always been in front of crowds. Like last fight, I was in a hostile territory in Dallas. It was his hometown, his backyard, and they brought me in to lose, and I knew that coming in. And I think what separates me from a lot of fighters too is they get like this mindset like I'm just gonna knock this guy out or I'm just way better than this guy. But me, I'm kind of a realistic guy, so I know when I'm gonna be in a tough fight, and I know when it's gonna be easy. I know when it's gonna be a firefight. Like I knew stepping into that cage last fight, I was gonna be in a dog fight because Austin's tough and he comes out hard like that, and I'm gonna step into this one expecting a dog fight too. So it's just a mindset thing, and I'm going to be there mentally. And when that cage door locks, I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and like talking to you now, I can tell you have that calm demeanor. So do you kind of like bring that with you like everywhere in life, not just in the fighting zone?
Yeah, I'm a pretty calm guy, I think, and but I don't fight calm at all. So it's
Yeah,
it's like it's different. So I don't know. I think I just got a good headspace and good thought process on it all. And I'm not a delusional guy. I know like I need to work on these certain things and get better at these things, and you know Dude, I'm trying to get in there and compete with the best guys in the world to see where I'm at. But I think at the skill point I am now and just what I bring to the table, I'm ready to compete with those guys. And I think Dana and them see it too. Sean Shelby, they gave me the call on short notice, and I took it. So ready to uh, ready to prove myself.
for sure, man. And you mentioned before that you played multiple sports growing up. So what sports did you play?
Everything you could think of, mostly basketball and soccer, but I dabbled in football and you know track.
Very nice. And what would you say were some of the lessons that you learned growing up playing sports that translated into your MMA career?
Just a winning attitude. I'm a hard worker. Probably the hardest worker in the gym I am at, I think, and I really pride myself on that. I try to outwork these guys, and I think that's why I'm here at this point. A lot of guys, they find ways in training to take breaks or find ways to make it easier for them, and I'm the opposite. I'm always trying to find ways to make the training harder. I'm trying to go with the best guys. I'm trying to like every round. You can ask my grappling coach Blake Jordan. He wrestled in college and he's black belt at jiu-jitsu. I try to go with him like every round because I know like that's the hardest round in the gym and it's gonna really push me. So uh I just say my work ethic is the reason why that separates me from most of these guys, and that's why I'm here now.
That's beautiful, man. And on your work ethic and training, you train at Port City Combat Sports. So how would you describe your experience training there and what are your relationships like with your coaches and training partners?
It's great. I've met many friends outside the gym too, and my coaches are my friends, and I know I respect them like Mike Barnett. He's took me under his wing when I first came in, and because he was a fighter himself, he's fought in PFL and all that, and he's going to be in my corner this fight. He's always in my corner. Like he was there for my first couple amateur fights when I haven't proved myself for anything, and he would travel and help. And he would take off work and just take it off work to come out to Vegas and corner me. He's got his family of his own and stuff. So I got my coach, Mr. Johnny. He came out of retirement, so he was training like Brock Weaver. He was like the top guy in our gym when I first started, and I remember Mr. Johnny. He was just working with him, but like I said, my work ethic allowed me to come in and work with these guys, and now I have him in my corner too, and Blake Jordan. He's my jujitsu coach and wrestling coach. Like I used to not be that great at grappling, but these last couple of years of training with Blake Jordan and stuff, when it hits the mat, man, I'm subbing guys quick in these fights and stuff. So it's not necessarily my go-to, but I can mix it up if I have to.
Yeah. And you mentioned your submission game there, and you don't really use it that often in your fights. Would you like to showcase that to the fans, or you just have too much fun on the feet that you kind of just like to brawl?
I like the brawl, but if I see an opening, I will take it. Like if we hit the ground and I can get it, I'm going to go for it. Like most guys, when I get them down, they kind of just give up their neck. After a while, they get tired. You just hit them and stuff. But I got some like a couple of my pro wins. Those guys they try to take me down early, and I just subbed them. So I think I'm dangerous everywhere, and on the ground, I think I surprise some people too.
Yeah. And on Surprise People are showcasing yourself to people for this fight. You're gonna have hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on you. And this is probably the first time a lot of people will be watching you fight. So does it give you a little extra motivation to showcase to the UFC fans and just the fans in general of what you're truly capable of?
Definitely, man. I think I have a super fan friendly style. Like my last fight when I with Austin, man, I came into that fight with like 800, 900 followers, and then after the fight, I got over 5,000, and all these people were hitting me up and stuff. So I'm excited to get that UFC exposure because I think the fans will really gravitate towards me just the way I fight because there's not a lot of fighters left out there that like to do what I do. Like they want to play safe, they want to fight technical, which is good and all, but when it comes down to it, like I said, I'm coming to finish you or get finished trying. So I really take inspiration from guys like Robbie Lawler and Justin Gagey and Chuck Liddell was my first ever like favorite fighter growing up. So I think that the watching those guys as a kid and then growing up to now has really helped mold me into the fighter I want to be, and I really thrive on that.
That's great, man. It really is. And I think the fans will find that very great too. And of course, someone else that likes that style is Dana White, who you'll get the opportunity to talk to him, to meet him. So
Right.
what's something you'd like to tell Dana White?
I'm just ready to introduce myself to him, man. I already have it in my head. Like I don't know what I'm going to say to him, but I try to think of it a little bit. But most of the time when I get on the mic and stuff, I just would say whatever comes to my heart, whatever comes to my mind. So whatever comes to my mind in that moment, that's what I'm probably going to say. So I'm ready to introduce myself to him. Obviously, my introduction will be in this fight. So I'm going to give him the Cam Teague fight that I've been giving everybody else down here. So.
Yes, sir. And now competing on the Contender Series, it's more than just your normal fight. You're going to be wearing those gloves for the first time. You're going to be wearing those shorts for the
Right.
first time. You're competing in the UFC Octagon in the Apex for the first time. You get to go to the PI for the first time. You get to be signing the posters. So, what about that whole experience excites you the most?
I'm ready to check out this UFC PI. Like they fly us out the 17th, and I get like 2 hours a day in there apparently. So I'm ready to check out and see what it's all about because I heard great things about it from my teammates and stuff that have been in the UFC and trained there. So um, yeah, man. But I will be interested to see like these new gloves. I guess I never get to wear the old ones now, but I'll get to check out the new gloves and see what they're all about. We got the baby blue powder gloves now in the Contender Series, so I kind of like that. So yeah, as for the shorts and everything, that's whatever.
Yes, sir, man. And of course, the goal, the dream is to become a UFC fighter. So, how much would it mean for you and your family to become a UFC fighter?
It means everything to me, especially for my late grandfather. Because when I was younger, that's who really got me into it. I would watch like Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Little Machito on the TV, and all those guys. To be in the same organization as those guys, I when I was a little toddler watching, is it would mean everything to me to be able to say I was in that league too. So obviously the goal isn't to just make it to the UFC. When I get in the UFC, I want to stay. So a lot of guys, for some reason their goal is I just want to make it to the UFC, and then they drop 2, 3 fights and then they're out. But me, I'm coming to stay. So I want to I want to become one of those guys like Cowboy Cerrone or Jorge Masvidal. Like you see me on the card, you're like, oh yeah, that's the fight I'm excited for. Like, you know, I don't. I don't. It's not like a big ordeal to me to ever become champion or something. I just want to get in there, like Gagey and them. I just want to be a guy that everybody knows and comes to brawl. And every time you watch a fight, it's going to be fight of the night.
Yeah. That's a great dream, man, and a dream that can definitely happen. And you mentioned your late grandfather introducing you to the sport. So, do you believe if he never showed you those fights as a kid that you would be in the position you are today?
I probably find my way to it somehow. I feel like life's got a funny way of bringing you to things. So like my dad was into it too, my uncle was into it, but I just remember when I was younger the most watching them with him and watching the runs and stuff and all that. But I think I would have found it. Like I feel like I was put on this earth to do this. So and yeah.
Yeah. And now your whole family will be watching you fight. And my final question for you is, in the UFC, what are some of your dream fights that you'd like to have with your time you're in the promotion?
Right now anybody to just get in there. But I talk about like my favorite fighters too, like Justin Gagey. That'd be one. Like he's a weight class above me and stuff, but if somehow some way I climb up there and I get to be like his farewell fight, dude, I would love to get in there and slug it out with him. But that probably won't happen, and because he seems to be almost done, I think, the way he talks and stuff. But I hope not. And I would say Gagey, just somebody like him. While I'm in there, when I get in there, somebody like him is gonna come along, and I'm gonna be like, oh, dude, that's the guy I want to fight. So I kind of feel like that way with Kevin. I like watching the guy I'm about to fight, Kevin. He likes to throw down and throw hard, and I love those fights, man. That's the fight I want. So I'm glad I got matched up with Kevin because they hold him as a top prospect. He's a young kid coming in 22, and he throws hard. He comes to fight hard. So he went to war with Gene Silva, but he's gonna have to go to war with me too. And I'm excited to be in that.
Yeah, you love those fights, and the fans also love those fights. So, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out before you head out of here?
Just tune in, and I know there's only 5 fights, but my fight's gonna be the fight of the night.
I got a good feeling, man. Cam, it's been more than a pleasure having you on. I want to wish you the best of luck in this upcoming fight. Folks, that'll be all for today. Until next time, peace.